Discover the incredible bond. How one black nurse changed a millionaire's life in 30 days. Angela bustled through the busy hospital corridors, her heart pounding with the familiar rhythm of urgency. Each patient was a new challenge, each moment a chance to fight against the odds. A dedicated nurse at a local hospital in an underserved urban neighborhood, Angela had learned to juggle it all: long shifts, caring for her 2 kids, and the haunting reality of a life without her husband, who had chosen wealth over family. She was a warrior in scrubs, fueling her strength with the hope that her children would thrive despite the struggles around them. One fateful day, Angela was assigned to Thomas, a reclusive millionaire who had been admitted for what seemed like a simple issue but hinted at deeper troubles. As she entered his sterile room, bright white walls felt cold compared to the chaos of her neighborhood outside. He lay there, a shadow of the man he once was, detached and brooding, barely acknowledging her presence. His expensive sheets, crisp and perfectly folded, contrasted oddly with the earthy texture of Angela's life back home. At first, Thomas was dismissive. "I don't need help," he muttered, staring out the window, immersed in his thoughts of personal failure. Angela felt it like a punch to the gut. Yet, she remained undeterred. Each day, she introduced him to a world he had long abandoned, one of resilience and community, sharing heartwarming stories from the families she served. "Do you know what it's like to juggle bills and bedtime stories?" she asked one day, a spark of emotion in her voice. Just a flicker, but one that lit up the room. She saw his lips twitch, the faintest sign that she reached him even just a little. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As the days dragged on, not everything was smooth. Angela faced skepticism from neighbors, whispers trailing behind her like shadows, as they wondered why she was investing her time in an outsider. At home, her children's frustrations bubbled up. "Mom, why do you care about him so much?" They would question, their eyes questioning her loyalty to their shared struggle. But each time Thomas cracked a smile or offered a genuine glance, Angela knew it was worth it. Hope crept into his heart, a soft, vulnerable thing. Just as their bond began to flourish, the storm rolled in. Thomas's estranged family arrived, intent on whisking him away from what they considered a bad influence. Secrets from his past began to seep out, reopening wounds that had just started to mend. Angela stood firm, ready to protect what they built. But as Thomas wrestled with his identity and worth, she felt the pressure of the world pressing down on her. Could their connection, a bridge across class and prejudice, survive the storm? As disapproval loomed large, Angela faced a crossroads. Fight to preserve the fragile bond they forged, or pull back to the comfort of her community's expectations. The clock was ticking. Would their newfound understanding endure? Or would the burdens of their pasts tear them apart? The journey was not over yet. Angela glanced at the clock on the wall, each tick reverberating in the silence that filled the room. Thomas, usually so withdrawn, wore a frown that seemed to deepen with the arrival of his family. They flooded the stark hospital room, voices rising like a flood, pushing away the fragile moments of connection Angela and Thomas had forged. Thomas's mother, elegant but stern, fixed her eyes on Angela with a mixture of disdain and concern. "This isn't the place for you, Thomas," she scolded, hands on her hips. "You need to come home. We can take care of you, not her." Angela felt the heat rise in her cheeks. She took a deep breath and stepped forward, determined not to let Thomas shrink back into the shadow of his past. "I am here to support him, to help him heal. That's what he needs," she asserted, her voice steady despite the waves of doubt crashing around her. "Help? Or hindrance?" His brother chimed in, arms crossed. "You don't understand the pressure he's under. We're all he has." But Angela could see the glimmer in Thomas's eyes. Even amid the storm of familial disapproval, he was battling with something deeper, and if they sent him back into that world too soon, it might swallow him whole. "Thomas, you don't have to decide right now," she said softly, looking directly into his troubled gaze. "You have people who care. You deserve to choose who you want in your life." His expression shifted slightly, as though he were wrestling with the remnants of old beliefs clashing with new ones. The silence hung between them, thick with unspoken words. As his family continued to push, Angela felt her heart racing. The familiar sounds of the hospital seemed to fade, leaving the air heavy. "You don't know what it's like," Thomas suddenly snapped, breaking his silence. His voice, though quiet, carried the weight of years of isolation. "You don't know what it means to feel abandoned, overlooked." Angela's heart ached. His words cut deep, echoing the struggles they'd both faced. "But I know how it feels to fight," she replied, her chest tightening with the passion of truth. "We all have battles, and it's how we face them that defines us. You have to decide what kind of life you want to live, who you want to be." The tension hung thick, and for a fleeting moment, Thomas seemed to reach for her hand, seeking connection amidst the turmoil. Then he pulled back, the uncertainty flooding back into his eyes as he looked at his family. "Maybe you all are right," he said, his face clouding over, the hope flickering like a candle threatened by the wind. A wave of desolation washed over Angela as she saw the familiar fight slipping away. She couldn't let it happen, not now. "Thomas," she exclaimed, desperation creeping into her voice. "You're not alone anymore. You've changed, you've been changing. Don't let them take that from you." As if the room itself paused in response, Thomas hesitated, his eyes darting between Angela and his family. She could see the shadows of old fears wrapping tightly around him, but he was also searching for a way out. The tension crackled, and just as the words hovered on the edge of revelation, the door swung open. An unexpected visitor entered, the hospital's psychiatrist, someone neither Thomas nor Angela had anticipated. They all turned, the energy shifting dramatically in an instant. "Is there a problem here?" the psychiatrist asked, eyeing the group. Angela saw Thomas's face shift again, surprised yet clearly vulnerable. Would this be the moment Thomas could grab onto help when he needed it most? And suddenly, the battle seemed larger than they'd imagined. Would he find the strength to voice his truth, or would he retreat once more into the silence of his past? As the doctor stepped inside, only the future remained uncertain, brimming with possibilities. Would the tides turn? Would this moment lead to a breakthrough or further complicate their journey? The psychiatrist stepped forward, a calm presence amid the chaos. He introduced himself with a steady tone, scanning the room for signs of tension. "I'm here to help," he said, his voice soothing like a balm. "I understand this can be overwhelming, but let us take a moment." Angela watched as Thomas, still clutching the edge of his bed, seemed to lean into that professionalism for support. The flicker of hope in his eyes was tentative yet undeniable. The psychiatrist regarded Thomas with genuine concern, turning the moment into something sacred. "Would you like to tell me how you're feeling?" Thomas hesitated, glancing at his family, their faces a mix of worry and judgment. He bit his lip, wrestling with the storm inside him. "I feel like I'm being pulled in 100 directions," he finally admitted. "I don't want to hurt anyone, but I also don't know what I want." Angela's heart swelled. This was it, the opening they all needed. "It's okay to feel that way, Thomas," she said gently. "It's okay to be uncertain. You have every right to figure this out." His mother's expression twisted with disapproval, but Angela pressed on. "You're making progress. You've been through so much and you're still here fighting. That speaks volumes." The psychiatrist nodded, encouraging. "Finding your voice in a situation like this is crucial. It's a big step toward understanding what you really need." Thomas looked from Angela to the psychiatrist, and for a brief moment, it seemed he was beginning to fuse their words with his own. "I want to be better. I want." His voice trailed off, the fear bubbling back to the surface. "It's all right," the psychiatrist said, his tone never wavering. "Take your time. You can share at your own pace." Thomas took a deep breath, his shoulders slumping slightly as he relaxed, if only a little. "I want to be free to be myself without feeling trapped by my family's expectations," he said, the words trembling as they broke the surface. Angela felt a rush of warmth. This was it, the moment they had waited for. She wanted to reach out and hold his hand, to anchor him against the coming storm. But she also knew he had to take that leap without her. "Do you hear that?" she said softly, still holding his gaze. "You're voicing what you truly want. That's the first step." So powerful. His family shifted. their expressions shifting from concern to confusion. This isn't good for him, his mother whispered, almost to herself. But the psychiatrist shook his head ever so slightly. Healing often begins with difficult conversations. It's okay for him to prioritize his needs. The air crackled with intensity, and the moment stretched on. Angela's heart raced, a mix of hope and fear swirling within her. She had always believed in Thomas's potential, and here he was on the brink of transformation. Thomas, she said, her voice lowering, you've got the strength within you. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. We're right here with you. With a deep breath, Thomas finally spoke again. Quieter but filled with determination. I want to try to stand up for myself. For once, Angela could see the spark igniting not just defiance but empowerment. It was beautiful. The door behind them seemed to close on the pressure he had felt for so long, inviting in the light of hope. The psychiatrist smiled, pleased with the progress. But as Thomas turned back to his family, Angela could see the battle in his eyes. Would he carry this newfound courage into the world, or would the weight of expectation snuff out the flame before it could grow? Just then, a soft knock resounded at the door. Angela turned to see a nurse peeking in, expression hesitant. Excuse me, but there's a situation outside. It's urgent. The focus in the room shifted again. What now? Angela's heart sank, fearing yet another disruption to this fragile moment of progress. Would Thomas really be able to stand strong when faced with yet another challenge? The uncertainty hung like a storm cloud, and in that charged moment, she realized they were all teetering on the edge of something significant. Would they find a way to navigate the chaos together? Or would it unravel at the seams? The nurse stepped into the room, her face a mask of urgency. We need Thomas to step outside for a moment, she said, glancing at the psychiatrist. It's important. Angela felt a cold wave of worry wash over her. What's going on? The nurse hesitated, her eyes darting between Thomas and the psychiatrist. There's been an incident with someone else in the ward. We just need to clarify a few things. Thomas's face paled, his confidence slipping away. He looked to the psychiatrist, who nodded, encouraging him. It's okay, Thomas, the psychiatrist said softly. You can still be brave out there. Timidly, Thomas rose, his legs shaky as he glanced back at Angela. She wanted to shout for him to stay but swallowed her fear. This was a test, a chance for him to practice what he was just beginning to learn. Just breathe, Angela whispered, hoping to send him strength through her eyes. You can do this. As Thomas followed the nurse out, the living room felt like it had lost its color. The weight of uncertainty hung thick in the air, particularly from his family, who exchanged worried looks. Is he going to be okay? His father broke the silence, voice tight. Let us trust that he will be, the psychiatrist said, trying to maintain control. He's ready to start asserting himself, even if it feels uncomfortable. But can he really? His mother's voice trembled, her usual resolve cracking. Angela watched the door close where Thomas had just exited. It felt like a breach had opened in her heart. Would he remain strong when facing whatever awaited him? She wanted to scream that he could. She needed him to know he had support, but silence wrapped around her like a blanket. The tension in the room wrapped itself around her, squeezing tightly. He's discovering his voice, we have to let him, Angela finally said, her own words filling her with a light she couldn't ignore. The anxious moment stretched on, punctuated by a faint murmur from outside the room. The psychiatrist glanced toward the door, then back to Thomas's parents. Change often feels chaotic, he said softly. But it's also full of potential. Just as Angela was about to speak again, the door swung open. Thomas stood there, eyes wide, his face drained of color. He looked as though he had just seen a ghost. Thomas? Angela rushed toward him. What happened? He opened his mouth, but nothing came out at first. The weight of the moment hung between them, crackling with a fear she had never seen in him before. There was someone outside, he finally managed, his voice shaky. They know me. They wanted to talk. Who? His mother's voice cracked, echoing through the shocked silence. He glanced nervously back down the hallway. It's Jared, my old friend from high school. Angela's heart raced. What did he want? Thomas swallowed hard, his breath shallow. He said he has followed my career and he wants to help me. A gasp escaped his mother's lips. Help you? or pressure you. We need to be careful, Thomas. Angela felt a surge of electricity at the idea. What if this is the chance you need? She asked, her voice steady. What if he can help you find your way? But fear lingered deep within Thomas as he grappled with his options. I don't know if I can face him. What if he thinks I've failed? But what Angela didn't expect was to see flashes of conflict within Thomas's eyes. The flames of uncertainty mixed with potential. Did he see the same opportunities she did? Could this really be a turning point? The nurse re-entered the room, some urgency replaced by concern. Thomas, we need your decision about whether to meet him. Your choice. In that moment, Angela could see a choice lying before him, and the weight of his past hung heavy over them all. Would he embrace this moment? Or would he let the fear overwhelm him? The air felt thick with unspoken words and choices yet to come. And as the seconds ticked by, Angela held her breath, waiting to see how Thomas would respond. Would he seize this chance or retreat back into the shadows? Thomas hesitated, his gaze flickering between the door that had just swallowed his past and the expectant faces of his family. The nurse's words hung in the air, a lifeline and a weight all at once. Angela felt her heartbeat quickening, as if caught in a tide, and she stepped closer to him, ready to lend her courage. Thomas, she said softly, you don't have to decide right now. But if you think Jared can help. No, he interrupted, frustration tinged with fear in his voice. You don't understand. Yes, not just anyone. He was my best friend and he left me when I needed him most. Angela's mind raced. She didn't want to pressure him, but she could see the potential for healing and addressing the past. But maybe he has changed. Maybe he wants to make things right. Thomas clenched his fists at his sides. What if he's just here to remind me of everything I've lost? The person I've tried so hard to escape? The living room was silent, filled with the swelling tension of his struggle. His father looked down, a troubled frown etched on his brow. His mother's eyes glistened in the dim light, reflecting both worry and desire for her son's success. Think about it, Thomas, Angela urged, her own heart racing. This could be your chance to reclaim your story. Not everyone walks away from the people they care about. Maybe he believes in you. A flicker of something, hope, maybe, crossed Thomas's face. But doubt quickly cloaked it again. Everyone I ever cared about just vanished. Why shouldn't he be the same? Angela could see him battling himself, crumbling under his past shadow. Because change is possible, she said, her voice stronger. You've done so much already. Facing Jared could be the step you need to feel whole again. In that second he looked at her, really looked at her. And what if I fail? What if this just proves I'm everything I'm afraid I am? Then you just try again, she said, her heart aching for him. You won't be alone in this. I'll be with you. Thomas swayed slightly, his breathing quickening as he glanced at the hallway where Jared lingered, waiting. The weight of his family's concern deepened as they leaned in, hanging on his every word. I want to meet him, he finally said, the determination shaking off the lingering fear. But I need you there. I need to feel safe. A wave of relief washed over Angela, bringing a flickering smile to her lips. Of course. You won't be alone. The nurse smiled, a gentle approval flickering in her eyes. Great decision, Thomas. Take your time, remember to breathe. With that, she stepped back toward the hallway, and Thomas followed, his footsteps taking on a new rhythm, tentative yet resolute. Angela slipped her hand into his as they approached the door, feeling the energy shift. As they entered the hallway, she could see Jared loitering, his face uncertain but hopeful. The air felt electric, charged with the weight of their past, present, and what lay ahead. Just remember, Angela whispered, squeezing his hand tighter. You are not that boy anymore. You have the power to choose how this unfolds. Thomas nodded slowly, his mind racing. But as they stepped closer, tension crackled around them. Would this be a moment of revelation or pain? Just as they reached Jared, the door behind them swung shut, leaving the three of them in a world of uncertainty. Would Thomas find the resolution he sought, or had he walked into a storm that would bend him instead of freeing him? As the words began to spill from Jared's lips, Angela's heart raced. This was it, the moment that could change everything. Would Thomas grasp the opportunity, or let it slip away forever? Thomas's heart thundered in his chest as he stood before Jared, the once familiar figure now a stranger cloaked in shadows of the past. Each step closer felt like a tightrope walk high above an abyss. Jared looked different, older, perhaps a little wiser, but there was a hint of the boy Thomas had shared so many secrets with. Doubt wrapped tightly around Thomas's throat, making it hard to speak. "Hey, Thomas." Jared's voice broke the silence, infused with a nervous tremor. "I wasn't sure you'd come." "Yeah, well, here I am," Thomas replied, his voice barely above a whisper. Angela felt the weight of their tension in the air and tightened her grip on Thomas's hand. She could sense that this was a pivotal moment. Jared shifted uncomfortably, glancing down the hallway as if searching for the right words. "I know things ended badly between us. I've thought about you a lot, you know? About what happened." Thomas's breath caught, memories swirling up like leaves caught in a storm. The laughter, the late-night talks, but most vividly the betrayal. "You left," he said, his voice firmer now. "When everything fell apart, you just disappeared." Jared winced, pain flashing across his face. "I know I did. And I'm so sorry for that. I was scared. I didn't know how to deal with it, with everything that was happening." "Scared?" Thomas scoffed, bitterness seeping into his words. "You think that makes it okay? You think saying sorry can fix a decade of hurt?" The silence that fell between them was heavy, thickened by unspoken emotions. Jared continued to look at Thomas, his eyes pleading, raw. "I'm not asking you to just forgive me," he said earnestly, his voice cracking. I want to explain. To tell you that I've changed. I'm not that person who ran away. I want to be better for you, for me." Angela's heart ached for Thomas, understanding the struggle etched across his face. She whispered again, her voice soft and steady. Thomas listened to him. Maybe he really does want to make amends. But Thomas shook his head, stepping back slightly. "You have no idea what I've been through, what your absence did to me. I had to rebuild my whole life." "Then let me help you," Jared urged, his earnest eyes not wavering. "I never meant to leave you alone. I was lost, but I've been on a journey to find myself again. And now I want to help you find your way too." Thomas faltered at that offer. Could he trust him again? Would facing that part of his past lead him to healing or deeper wounds? The silence stretched painfully, and Thomas felt the walls closing in. He glanced at Angela, her unwavering support grounding him. "You say you want to help me, but how can I trust you?" Jared's expression shifted to one of desperation. "You don't have to trust me yet. Just give me a chance to show you. Let us start small talk. Open up. You don't have to forgive me right away, but let me be here for you now." The air felt electric with possibility, but also fraught with fear. Thomas's heart thudded louder, uncertainty curling in his chest. "Talk?" he echoed, feeling the weight of the years press down on him. Just as he was about to answer, an unexpected sound pulled them back, the sharp ring of a phone in the hallway. The interruption caught Thomas off guard. He turned, glancing back towards the sound, his mind racing. Was this a sign to retreat? Or perhaps a moment to seize? What would he choose, fear or the unknown chance of connection? As he stood at that crossroads, he could almost hear the echoes of his younger self, crying out for help. Thomas took a deep breath, looking back at Jared with a mixture of uncertainty and heart-stirring hope. Would he take that step forward? Or would he retreat into the familiar safety of his past? The decision hung delicately in the air, waiting to be made. The ringing ceased abruptly, replaced by the muffled sounds of hurried footsteps approaching. A knot of anxiety formed in Thomas's stomach. It felt like the universe was holding its breath, waiting alongside him for the next moment to unfold. Jared took a step closer, his expression earnest yet tinged with apprehension. "This can wait, right? I mean, whatever that is." He gestured toward the hallway, his tone flickering between hope and despair. "I don't know," Thomas started, but Angela squeezed his hand tighter, grounding him. "Just focus on what you feel right now," she whispered, her eyes urging him to stay. "This is about you, not the sound or whatever distraction is coming." Thomas looked back at Jared, searching for that boy he once knew, buried under years of hurt and distance. What would it mean to let him back in? The footsteps faded, leaving only the lingering tension between them. "Tell me how you've changed," Thomas finally uttered, his voice steadier now. "If you're really serious about being here for me, I need to know you mean it." Jared's expression brightened, relief mixing with the weight of his own regret. "I've spent years figuring out who I am without running away. I took responsibility for my life, my mistakes. I've been volunteering, helping others through some of the toughest times in their lives. It made me realize how precious connection is. As he spoke, a flicker of sincerity ignited in his eyes. Images flashed through Thomas's mind. Jarrett, the carefree kid with dreams sewn together by laughter. But that kid had vanished. You could only see remnants of him in this man before him. Volunteering? Thomas asked, trying to piece together what that meant. Yeah, it helped me realize that running away never solves anything. I was terrified, but facing that and seeing the pain in others helped me find my own strength and have the courage to come back to you. The emotional tidal wave threatened to pull Thomas under, memories crashing against the surface. But why now? He pressed, stalling the storm inside him. Why not sooner? Because I was afraid of being rejected. I thought you'd hate me forever. But the truth is, every day without you felt like a piece of me was missing. The intensity in Jared's voice pulled at something deep within Thomas, that a flicker of vulnerability flashed in Jared's eyes, a stark contrast to the bravado he had shown before. I couldn't bear to let you down again. I didn't know if I could ever make it right. Thomas swallowed hard, wrestling internally with a mix of anger and something else, hope perhaps? A part of him wanted to believe, to step forward. Another part of him wanted to slam the door shut, protect the heart that had been stitched together over so many years. Angela's presence steadied him, but he could feel the vacuum of uncertainty drawing closer. It's not just about you anymore, Jared. I have my life to think about. I fought to build something strong. It's not just about you and me either, Jared replied earnestly. I've seen so many broken people find solace through connection. Let us heal together. At that moment, the walls fell away briefly. The air around them shifted, and Thomas felt the weight of choices pressing down on him, choices that could either amplify his pain or lead him toward reconciliation. As he stared into Jared's eyes, Thomas realized that this moment held more than just the past. It wrapped around potential, to a fragile thread stretching towards reformation. Okay, let us talk, he said finally, his voice steady but raw. But this is going to take time. Jared nodded, a glimmer of gratitude softening his features. Thomas felt his own heart begin to thaw. Even if just a little, as they began to speak, sharing pieces of their stories long buried. The future unfolded like an uncharted map. In the background, the world buzzed, life continued, but inside that small space, the two of them dared to reshape what was once lost. Yet even as they stepped cautiously forward, a thought lingered: could wounds truly heal? Or was it destined to be a painful reminder of what could have been? The uncertainty loomed large, a cloud hanging overhead as the conversation deepened. Would this be the start of a new story, or just another chapter in their shared history? The air felt thick with unspoken words. Thomas glanced at Angela, her eyes steady, encouraging him to keep going. He turned back to Jared, whose gaze now shimmered with a mix of hope and vulnerability that seemed almost foreign to Thomas. They were no longer just two boys caught in a web of memories. They were two men standing on the brink of everything. Okay, Thomas started, his voice trembling slightly. Let us dig deeper. What's the biggest lesson you've learned through all this? Jared hesitated for a moment, as if the question had unearthed a layer he'd buried. That love can't be taken for granted, he said quietly. I thought I could walk away from it and not miss it once I was gone. But each day taught me how wrong I was. It's painful to realize how much I discarded, and yet here I am wanting to reach for it again. A small part of Thomas wanted to scoff, to question the sincerity of Jared's newfound enlightenment. But the truth was, as much as he wished it were a bad script he could discard, he couldn't dismiss the raw honesty in Jared's voice. His heart ached, the familiar feeling of betrayal mixing with tiny shoots of understanding. What if things don't go back to how they were? Thomas pressed. What if you leave again just like before? Then I'll fight through it. I won't just walk away this time, Jared replied, his voice firm, steeling himself against the weight of past choices. You deserve someone who will stay, who will put you first. I want to be that person. Just like that, Thomas felt the ground shift under his feet. It was scary. He was flirting with the idea of opening the door to trust again. Their playful histories were muddied with disappointment, but hope flickered inside him, delicate yet determined. Could it be the start of something healing instead of damaging? As the conversation flowed, old memories spilled out, lighter moments from childhood mixed with the agonizing pain of their split. They laughed at shared anecdotes, two souls intertwining, casting aside the shadows that had once loomed over their heads. Each shared tale was like a bomb, stitching them back together. Angela drifted to the side as they spoke, letting the energy build between the two. Her heart felt fuller witnessing their reconnection. She saw the strain begin to ease in Thomas's shoulders, as though they were unfolding a map of their past which contained routes to the future. "Remember the park?" Jared said, a soft smile forming. "How you used to challenge me to race to the swings. And how you'd always win." Thomas chuckled, the corners of his mouth lifting. "You were too busy playing it cool instead of focusing on the finish line." That playful banter opened a door buried under years of hurt. Jared's laughter felt like summer rain on parched soil. Thomas wanted more of it, but with each laugh fear gnawed at him. Could this truly be sustainable? Yet, just as the energy shifted into a softer connection, an unexpected sound jolted them. The door slammed open. They turned startled as a familiar face stepped into the room. Megan, Jared's sister, eyes wide with confusion and concern. It was like she had just walked into a moment meant only for two. "What is happening here?" she demanded, her brows knitted together. The unease in the air shifted as all three felt the weight of another layer being added to their tangled history. In that instant, the fragile thread of hope they had just begun to weave threatened to fray. "Should we tell her?" Thomas wondered silently, searching Jared's eyes for a hint of what to do next. Megan stood there, arms crossed, but behind her fierce gaze, Thomas could see shadows of worry illuminated by curiosity. Would this confrontation push them back into darkness, or was there a way to bring light to this complicated reunion? The moment hung like a fragile ornament, teetering on the edge. Would their renewed connection stand strong against the sudden clash of past and present? Or would it all come crashing down once more? Megan's gaze flitted between the two, her posture rigid. Thomas felt the air grow colder, anxiety prickling at his skin. Jared shifted his weight, trying to find the right words amid the tumult. "Megan, it's not what you think," he began, but his voice fell short. "What do you mean it's not what I think?" She shot back, crossing her arms tighter. "I walk in and find you two laughing like it's the old days. You disappeared without a word for years, Jared. And now you just expect me to accept this?" "Things have changed." Jared's voice cracked but remained steady, a contrast to the storm brewing in Megan's eyes. "Change?" Megan echoed, disbelief dripping from her lips. "You call this change? Just because you're back and making memories doesn't mean you get to waltz back into everyone's lives like nothing happened." Thomas felt the weight of her words, the way they echoed with a bitterness that he could relate to. "Look, Megan," he tried, stepping forward. "We're just what?" She interrupted, frustration spilling over. "Trying to pretend the past didn't happen? Or maybe you're hoping for a little redemption story. Doesn't work that way." Silent and tense, they stood there, each word a strike against the fragile bond forming between Thomas and Jared. Painful realities loomed around them, and the laughter they once shared felt like it belonged to different people entirely. Jared took a deep breath, resolute. "I messed up, I know that. But I want to fix it. I want to be here for you, Thomas. I want to be here for everyone," he said. Every word rang out with determination, yet a hint of pleading colored his tone. Megan's eyes narrowed, taking a step closer to Jared. "And how do I know you won't just run away again? You may think you have it all figured out, but you're just throwing empty promises now. It's not that easy." Just then, Thomas felt his heart pound fiercely against his chest. He respected Megan's fierce love for her brother, but her doubts stung. "You're right to be worried," he replied, his own voice heavy with emotion. "But you have to give him a chance. He's not asking for forgiveness just for himself. He wants to be better for all of us." Silence draped itself over the room, thick and suffocating. Megan seemed to waver, her rigid stance faltering for just the briefest moment. The compassion in Thomas's voice was a careful invitation, prodding at the walls she built around her heart. But before Megan could respond, Jared stepped in, his voice low and earnest. "I know I don't deserve it, but I'm here, and I want to repair what I broke." His gaze locked firmly with hers, as if he was trying to ignite a spark of understanding between them. Megan glanced at Thomas, her features softening just a bit. There was a glimmer of something there, a potential break in the walls, but it flickered as quickly as it appeared. "This is complicated," she whispered, frowning as if the weight of their history was crushing her. "Life is complicated," Thomas said gently, feeling the tension crackle in the air again. "But maybe we can begin to untangle it together." Megan paused, visibly weighing their words. Her heart raced, caught in a web between protecting her brother and the chance for healing she perhaps didn't expect to find. Just then, the phone on the table buzzed, breaking the charged moment, and all eyes turned to the screen lighting up with a message. Thomas felt the shift immediately. It was as if fate itself had made an entrance. "What now?" Megan spat, irritation lacing her tone. Jared shot a glance at Thomas, who instinctively leaned closer to the phone, his pulse quickening. The unknown loomed before them, threatening to change everything yet again. The message read, "We need to talk. You don't know the whole truth." Who could it be? And what truth could possibly be looming just beneath the surface? Thomas stood frozen, his mind racing at the prospect of another layer being added to their already complicated history. The message hung there like a ticking clock, threatening to unravel the fragile bond they were trying to weave back together. "Who is it from?" Megan asked, her voice edged with impatience. Thomas swallowed hard, his breath catching in his throat. "I don't know," he admitted, glancing at Jared, who mirrored his anxiety. Anguish and hope wrestled within him. He had just begun to reconnect with his past, only to be confronted by its ghosts. Then the dreaded silence fell again. They all stared at the phone, as though it held the keys to their futures. Finally, the pressure became too much. "Look," Thomas broke in, "whatever this is about, maybe we should face it. We're here, we're willing to talk. We need to know everything." Jared nodded, stepped closer, agreed. "This is a chance to get everything out in the open." Megan didn't seem convinced but sighed, her shoulders relaxing slightly. "Fine, but we have to keep our guard." "I still don't trust you," she directed towards Jared, though the words felt softer now. "Fair," Jared replied, accepting the challenge. With a shaky hand, Thomas grabbed the phone, staring at the screen as memories bubbled up. Old fears whispered in his ear, urging caution, but something deeper stirred an urgent need to confront the elements of his past that still chained him. "You don't know the whole truth," he read aloud, the words hanging heavily in the air. "What does that mean?" "It could mean a lot of things," Jared replied, concern threading through his voice. Before they could continue, Thomas pressed the message to open it, tension thickening with every second. The screen flickered, revealing a photo accompanied by a name, Sarah. "Who is Sarah?" Megan demanded. A mixture of panic and curiosity crossed her face. Thomas felt a lump in his throat. "She was a close friend," he murmured, shadows of agony washing over him. Jared's brow furrowed. "What does she have to do with any of this?" "It's complicated," Thomas said, wrestling the knot in his stomach. "But she was involved when everything fell apart." Megan's voice quivered. "We need to find out what this is about." As Thomas began typing, a newfound resolve filled him. Whatever Sarah had to say might be the key to understanding not just their past but their future. His heart raced with adrenaline. His hands trembled, but he pressed on. "Who is this?" he sent back, urgency fueling his fingers. The response came back swiftly. "It's time for the truth to come out. Meet me." "Meet? She wants to meet?" Thomas whispered, his heart pounding. Jared stepped closer, the determination in his eyes revealing he was willing to face this with him. "It might be worth checking out, but only if you want to." Thomas turned to Megan, who looked torn. "What do you think?" he asked desperately. "Maybe it's time to face what we've been avoiding," she conceded, her defiance quelling as uncertainty slid into hope. The air felt charged with possibility, and for the first time in ages, Thomas dared to believe that maybe they could rebuild more than just connections, they could reconstruct their lives. "Fine," he announced, a mixture of fear and determination knotting in his stomach. "Let us do it. Let us meet Sarah. We deserve closure." The room seemed to breathe with a new energy as they huddled together, united in purpose. "Together?" he asked, his eyes flicking between Jared and Megan. Together, they echoed. The journey ahead would be fraught with old wounds and new challenges, but this was the turning point they needed. The past had its grip on them, but with every step towards the truth, that hold weakened. It was time to confront the thunder of their shared history and seek clarity. They would stand together, shoulders square, hearts open, ready to break the cycle of hurt and fight for a better narrative, a story molded by strength, resilience, and unlocking the power of their unbreakable bond. Thomas felt a rush of gratitude wash over him. Bathed in this moment, the clouds above felt lighter. Hope illuminated his path, guiding him towards the uncertain shore of the truth. Okay, he whispered, his voice firm. Let us rewrite our story. With that, they turned towards the future, ready to carve out a path filled with possibility, connection, and perhaps most importantly, forgiveness. The door to healing had opened, and they could do this together as they stepped outside. The sun greeted them warmly, declaring that change, though daunting, was not only possible, it was beautiful. And so, as their journey continued, they became warriors of their own narrative, embracing both the light and the shadows with resilience together. Don't let this moment go to waste. Subscribe immediately to the channel, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to keep the algorithm alive and vibrant. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation unfold. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of uplifting the channel through your actions.